So, how was everyone's weekend?
It was
Eventful.
well. hmm
Good, good. So, did anybody use the holiday as an opportunity to reach out and connect with their database?
I was actually at the air show, so yes.
Oh, there we go. All right.
I did.
Okay,
I went
good.
with a lot of family members and stuff, and just talked
Okay.
to everybody in my family and some friends that I went to over this weekend.
All right. Very nice. Now, the reason that I talked about that for a quick second is I know that you're all building your businesses right now, which means that you've got some big deal things happening. And that's very important. But at the same time, you want to be in the habit of reaching out and connecting with other people about not real estate. So for me, I typically text hundreds of people on any given holiday and to check in with them because that's part of my brand. That's part of what they expect for me. The same person that dresses for every theme is always going to remember holidays. So it's a wonderful opportunity to reach out and connect with people. So I'm happy that everybody had a good weekend and some of us did that. I wanted to, it's a new month. Things might be starting to slow down a little bit in your business. If you had buyers that were trying to get into school districts or were wanting to make a move before school started, they may be slowing their looking at this time, which means that it frees up more time for you to get very purposeful about building your business. And I kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit because, fun fact, anyone that's on this call, and probably 95% of the agents in our brokerage, we all have a lot of similar traits. So we are all kind of an entrepreneur. We want to build our own business. We don't necessarily want to work for someone else. We want to work for ourselves. So we have these really big dreams, and that's great because in this world right now, it is the entrepreneurs that are building these businesses, that are making these new lives for themselves. And I know that that is an attraction for many agents. That's kind of what got them into the industry. Am I right or wrong on that? Like, who on this call today is doing this because they want to have their own business and a traditional 9 to 5 maybe doesn't fully fit into what they want to do long term?
I agree.
Correct.
Okay. So that's wonderful because that grit, that energy, that desire to think outside the box, the desire to work for yourself. And so usually when you work for yourself, you do more than you might be willing to do when you work for someone else. Overtime becomes a hardship when you are in a 9 to 5 grind. But if you've got to stay up till 10 p.m. to write an offer for a buyer, you're willing to do that. Am I right on that?
Right.
Okay. So that's wonderful. But at the same time, that kind of energy can be a little chaotic hamster. You're running over here and you're running over here and you're calling, and then you remember that you forgot to follow up with somebody. So you're calling and checking in, and you were supposed to get something for a different buyer. So the energy that's wonderful as an entrepreneur, that E, we want to move towards being a little bit more purposeful. So moving from E to P is a big growth. And it takes time and it takes energy and a daily commitment. So I kind of wanted to talk around that a little bit. And I feel like most of you do identify a little bit more with the E than the P, perhaps. Because you're building your business, you're still not exactly sure what purposeful looks like, but you do know what hustle and grind look like. Am I correct on that?
Yep. I feel like it's
Okay.
more finding your specific meaning in what you do.
Exactly. It is about, so when you're starting your career, you are kind of in that, you're an entrepreneur. You are using your natural abilities to become successful. So you already, most of you, when I've talked to you, you're like, oh, I like people. I like real estate. I like helping people. I don't want to necessarily work a 9 to 5. It doesn't fit into my life right now. So that's where most of you are. And so you're doing what comes naturally. It feels natural to let people know you're an agent. It feels natural to start to put out feelers about who could you be working with? Who could you be helping? If not now, when can I help you? So you're doing that. And an agent, regardless of their personality type, they're going to have some kind of success because they are that personality type. And that might feel a little bit comfortable. Where it starts to feel uncomfortable is perhaps the realization that if you do want to have your own business and be very purposeful about it, you are going to have to put some structures, some guidelines. You're going to need to employ some systems. And that starts to feel like work. And maybe that's the whole reason you didn't want to stay where you were and you did want to grow. But what I'm asking you to do is realize that you can take all of this energy and excitement and still put some nice scaffolding around it. Because if you just randomly throw items at a target, you're going to eventually hit it, correct?
Yes, that reminds me of the graph or the image in the book Millionaire Real Estate. Creativity without a plan, or what was it? Creativity without a structure. You're bing bing boom boom all over the board, but with that structure, you can put your creativity with it as well. I need that. I need to implement that.
Well, I'm going to be very, because I'm always really honest. I mean, I am a coach, but I'm also a real estate advisor and agent, which means that I have a business that I run. And even I need to remind myself from time to time that I have to get a little more purposeful and a little less chaotic hamster. You get busy, you get into a busy season, your database is doing its thing, your referrals are working for you, you start to see business come back. But at that point, if you do not have your systems and structures in place, you are still kind of just grabbing at everything. And while you're grabbing at everything, yes, you are taking care of the business that is right in front of you. But what's happening to the long-term business? Once the referral finds their home and the 3 buyers that found you on social media find their spot and you sell that listing, where is your next business coming from? So as much as you felt like you had to, I only have time to manage this work right now, by stepping away from what brought you that work, which is intentional focus on building the business in a consistent way, you're going to be back to square one. So your business is going to go up, 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 down, 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 up, down, down, down. Now, roller coasters are fun, but they are for adrenaline people. And you know what you're getting into when you get on that roller coaster. I don't think that many of us want that same roller coaster financially in our world. Am I correct? So we do not want that. So we need to realize that eventually our natural abilities are going to hit a ceiling of achievement. And we're going to go as far as we can, as hard as we can. Our high energy with our low strategy is going to tire us out. So, yes, we want to do all of these things, but we don't really have a strategy for how we're doing it. And that is going to be exhausting. So then we're not going to do what we're supposed to do. And we're going to go back to what is natural and comfortable, which isn't going to build your business. Any person that is out there that has a business that you would like to be similar to has figured out how to use their natural abilities in a very intentional, purposeful way. So, if you are a person like me that does kind of fall into the celebrating of lots of things, even though you're feeling chaotic hamster, you still need to be very purposeful. So even though I had other things going on, I still remembered that when all of this right in front of me is resolved, what do I have in front of me? And it was a great reminder and an opportunity to be very purposeful and to reach out to people as we're going into fall and winter. I don't want to be the agent that they only get a Christmas card from, because they're going to forget about me in the middle of all of the other holiday. I need to be purposefully reminding them that I am here for all the fun and all the celebration. And I'm also a real estate advisor, agent, and coach. So I was doing what felt natural, which was managing all of this, but I also needed to be purposeful. And not only do I have my own abilities, I do have the other abilities that are out there. So I want to make sure that we're kind of talking about all of that. I know that some of us perhaps need to have a conversation and start truly planning our business. Right now, we all want business, but what would it look like in 6 months when we have the business we've been asking for? It is much harder to build an airplane while you're flying it. It is easier to slowly and intentionally build the airplane before you take off. So while we're out there being an entrepreneur and trying to find business, we also want to be purposeful. So we talk about the DTD2. That is a very purposeful way to reach out to your database. Has anyone really started to, with consistency, follow along with me every week and just be touching those specific people in their database? Like, raise a hand, give me a thumbs up, ask a question if you have one.
So I'm not
I have.
sure where to find it at, where the other ones are at. 'Cause you sent me the one for last week, but I'm just
I
not.
So you can, that is not something that KWGM is proprietor. Hold on, we've got somebody trying to pop in. Um, so that is not, so you could Google that. Um, it's on our Keller Williams Facebook page, and it's just a repeating schedule. So, we can find that. I can email it out, but it is really about focusing each week on a different part. And there's a reason that it's broken up between phone calls and texts. People don't want to use a phone, yet agents want to talk to other agents when it's a transaction, because that to them signals how you're going to be in the transaction. So I know that we don't want to make all these phone calls, but we need to practice making all these phone calls. And even if they don't answer, you get to leave a voicemail. You just get to say hello. And if you're consistently doing that, calling them 4 times a year, texting them 4 times a year, that right there is the start of a very purposeful mindset, because just by doing that, you are creating talking time with people. Right now, your whole database is really a customer. Most of us probably don't have a lot of clients in there yet, but a customer can become a client through communication. You are all new at being an agent. So you need to remind them of that in a very intentional way. Even when you text, you could have a text signature that just has your name. Maybe it's got a house, maybe it says realtor. So even though you might be texting or emailing about something different, hey, I know you love pumpkin spice latte. I saw this on social media. It made me laugh. I wanted to share it. You can share that to every single pumpkin spice girly in your database. It sounds like you're funny. It sounds like you're into the fall. It sounds like all of these things. Your signature is telling them you're a realtor. And you thought of them for no true reason in their mind. They don't know that behind the scenes, you are very purposefully committing yourself to talking to every single person in your database. Not only that, you're committing yourself to adding more to it. If you call 20 last name D next quarter, I hope that you're calling 40. So that is a purposeful way to talk to your database in a way that makes sense, because sometimes when we first start, we got like 3 people that might do something in the next 6 months. And we are just like, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. Hey, are you ready to buy yet? Hey, are you ready to buy yet? And we forget that we could be talking to them about some other things. It could be really specific to them that is helpful about real estate. It could be something fun. The next 3 or 4 months of the year, we're in the Burr months and everybody loves them. There is so much happening that we can talk about as the market is starting to slow down a little bit. So we want to be the person that they think of when it comes time for their move, or when it comes time for a referral, or when someone says to their office mate, you know, my mom is finally ready to sell the family home. We've got her all settled into her new space. She's finally ready to sell. I never thought I'd get there. And your friend is sitting there going, I've got a realtor. Oh my gosh, they just texted me about pumpkin spice latte and I was laughing my butt off. Hold on, let me get them out of my phone. So every day we need to be purposeful in doing this, and that happens to build the business behind. So I want you to start to lean into that. And what we need to really be doing is focusing on what really matters. So we want to have 20% of our day spent on very intentional building business activities. That looks like being on the phone. That looks like being out in the community, reminding them how great you are and that you also happen to be a realtor. The reason that we do Zoom every first Wednesday of the month is because I am on a committee for Main Street Kent. And I have to honor that meeting. Now, not only is it because I love Kent and love what I do, it is also because that is a way that I lead Jen. So at this point, they all know that I'm a realtor. And I'm there to provide some insight about moving people to the area, about things like that. But I'm also there to hear what's going on. Hey, BB Bop is getting ready to open. That happened a couple of months ago. But I was like, oh my gosh, BB Bop is getting ready to open. I live here. I have a business. They have a business. I stopped by with a whole bunch of business cards in my pocket in case I ran into anyone I needed to talk to. I wished them well. I welcomed them to the area. I made sure that they knew my name. And I left behind a couple of business cards and a couple of pens with the manager. And I was like, I understand that you guys are a bigger brand. And I know that people are often moving for jobs, especially in leadership. If I can ever help by giving anybody a tour of downtown Kent, please reach out. I love where I live and I want to bring more people here. Very intentional. I showed up, I did the thing, very purposeful. And I made sure that it was in my calendar so that I did it. And I want you to think about ways that your business could have very purposeful interactions. I see, Elon, you have a question?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is great information about lead generation and keeping at the forefront of your customers' minds. I don't do a lot of lead generation. I just recently got my license. I'm more so worried about the process of the offer writing and like this me developing my skills as an agent. How do you suggest I sharpen those skills? Because when I lead generate and I convert one of these clients, then what?
Okay. So that sounds like we need to very purposefully have some conversation around what that looks like. And so for you, it sounds like, I don't like to say script practice because it sounds very stilted. It sounds very stale. It does not sound fun. But at the same time, we need to practice having these conversations. So, would that be a purposeful task that we could spend a couple of minutes on before our call is off?
I
That would be
agree.
would that be helpful?
Yes.
Okay. Is that all right with everyone? As we're talking about now, so again, I do want to say there is more that we can talk about E to P. And I'm going to keep coming back to that along with a lot of other things. But right now, you guys are drinking from the fire hose, learning all these new things. But at the same time, how you really learn something is by doing it. So we need perhaps some more intentional time spent on those conversations. So when we were talking about what does it look like to convert someone? So what would be helpful? Would it be better if I am the agent? Or would you like me to be the client that you're practicing talking to?
I would like to see you as an agent.
Okay. All right. So give me a little bit of a scenario first so that everyone knows where we're starting from.
Okay, so I would say I'm a first-time home buyer, maybe newly married,
Okay.
and we're looking to purchase.
Great. All right. First things first, do we have both names, both email addresses, both phone numbers in our database? Do we have all the ways to communicate with these clients?
Mm,
So because we want to make sure we've got that. So,
okay.
I like to meet in person as much as I can. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm big energy on a small screen, so I like to meet in person if I can. It gives me the opportunity. Again, I'm purposeful about it Does it take more time to drive to do, does it take more time to drive to a location? Is, like, do I really want to do that? But yes, I actually want to be really purposeful, because when I am sitting in a local coffee shop meeting someone, I'm probably going to know somebody. I know the person that works there. There's a really good chance that somebody else I know is going to walk in. Part of my value is how well connected I am with my community.
Okay.
So I'm going to take the opportunity. Again, it might take more time, but it's better and more purposeful for me to be meeting them in person. So I have all their contact information. We are meeting for the very first time. I'm going to ask a lot of questions. I really need to know, because remember, for business to happen right now, they need to be ready, they need to be willing, they need to be able. So we want to have conversations around that. Yes, it is important to have a buyer agency agreement, but that agreement is about what you're going to do for them. They don't even know you yet, and you don't know them. And here's a fun fact: you may not want to work with them. And someday in your career, there may be the opportunity for you to not work with somebody. You may decide that this is not going to be a good fit. And that's okay also. That's a great space to be in for your business, when you actually can decide who you want to work with.
Right. And
All
what
right.
when you just broke that down, I received that, because I heard how important that just the initial meeting, how important that is. So that's just that's the first step, to meet with them and to see their goals and how you can best help them. Okay.
So we're going to be sitting down. I'm going to introduce myself, just let them know. I'm going to make sure I've got all my info. And the reason I really want their email address is coming up. And I'm like, it is so wonderful to meet you both. I really appreciate the fact that we had some time to get together today. Thank you so much, for making this a priority. Because when we start working together, I want to make sure that we understand each other, because there's going to be a lot of late night texts. So I do at least want to make sure that we understand each other, and you understand how I speak and communicate, and vice versa. You have said congratulations on getting married. And I realize that your next steps are starting to talk about buying a home. Here are some housekeeping things that you may have not considered that you probably should consider doing. Have you formally changed your name to your partner's name? Have you gotten that through the county? Have you updated your information? Because your next step will be to get a pre-approval letter. And your pre-approval letter is going to be the verbiage that we use for your purchase agreement. So if you are Spencer Hayes and you haven't changed it to Cole, but you want it to be Cole, let's make sure you're ready to do this. Let's do that paperwork. So we want to get that handled. Have you already gotten your pre-approval? I work with some lenders in the area that are well connected. We have a proven success rate. I've vetted them myself. These are people that I have worked with time and time again. They have a similar style to me. The same way I will be able to answer a text at 8:30 at night if it's necessary, my lenders are also. Because we might have a very important question that is going to occur outside of office hours. So in my experience, I like to work with people that have that same mindset, that they are willing to do what's best for the client in the time that it counts. So, do you have a pre-approval yet, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer? You don't. All
No.
right. Okay. So now this agent, I want all of you to have at least 3 people that you are ready, willing, and able to do business with as a lender. 3 minimum. And you're going to give them all 3. You're not steering them, because these 3 you do work with. That not all of this is very true. You know them, you like them, and you want to work with them, and they are appropriate for what you're referring them to. Because people that are first-time buyers, they need a lot of hand holding, they need a lot of time, they need a lot of explanation, they need some repeat. They've never done this before. So that is why we want to make sure that we are connecting them appropriately. So we're going to give them these lenders. But that's not all. We want to start telling them about next steps. And we're going to be talking to them. All right, we're going to be talking to them about what does this look like and what are we going to do? The reason we have their email is because there is a smart plan inside Command that is for home buyers education. So I'm going to tell them that. I'm going to say, all right, when do you need to make your move? And that date is going to kind of drive the rest of the conversation, because they may think they're ready, willing, and able, but they're really not looking to do this for 6 more months. So we're going to get around their date. We need to know how to rate them in our brain. You know, is this someone that I need to be talking to every week because we are getting ready to buy a house? Or is this someone that I'm checking in with every 2 weeks because we're not doing anything until 2026? So I'm asking all of these questions because these are the details that I need so that I can serve them. Someone asked, how long can you make an agreement expiration date? You can do them any period of time. Do not always assume that 3 months is more than enough time or 6 months is more than enough time. Talk to them about it. Where all of the legality and all of the court cases came from was a feeling that the client wasn't getting clear, candid information from the agent. Do not be that agent. Have very clear, candid conversations. So, figuring out when they're ready is next steps. If they're really looking to do, or are they looking to buy right now, Elon? Like, if they're looking to buy right now, they need to be someplace by Christmas. Is that the example that we should work forward on? Would that be
Yes.
helpful? Okay. All right. So we need to make this happen. Okay. Buyer, let me explain this to you. Many people don't understand how long it actually takes for a transaction. If you need to be moved into your new place by the end of December of this year, it is very possible that it could take 30 to 45 days for that transaction, once you're under contract, to close. So if you need to be in by the end of December, we need to find your place before Thanksgiving because it gets a little slow around the holidays.
I see.
All right. So then you're starting to work back. So you're like, okay, that means we really need to get you pre-approved now, because I've seen trends where inventory starts to drop around Thanksgiving and Christmas, because nobody in their right mind is saying, I don't want to put up a Christmas tree this year because I'm going to be moving, unless they have to. So waiting until November 1st to start looking when you really need to be under contract by the middle of November to meet your timeline, that makes me nervous, because there's no guarantee that the first place we look at you're going to love, There's also no guarantee that in this market right now, there is still competition. So there's no guarantee that the first offer that we write is going to be a win. And then, so you're giving them information, you're setting the standard. You are the professional. You're showing them a very intentional timeline. Because of when you're looking to do your purchasing, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I really think that we need to get you pre-approved now. Pre-approval is the very important first step. I would be very mad if someone took me shopping and I didn't know what my budget was.
Right.
Also, there are many benefits that are out there for buyers right now. There are more down payment assistance grant opportunities this year than there were in the past 3 years. Sometimes those loans take a little bit longer, but sometimes they also, regardless of where you would have been, you have to go with perhaps an FHA loan to get these benefits. FHA loans have their own special appraisal. So we need to know when we walk in that first door if you're buying with FHA, because I am going to be paying attention to everything that we see so that I can look for any potential problems that we might come up with for your FHA transaction. There might be peeling paint. There may be missing smoke detectors. So I want to know if you're purchasing with FHA so that we can strategize and plan, because we want to get you under contract and closed. Most lenders are writing generic pre-approvals, kind of loosely based on your information. Some of them right now are maybe only good for 30, 60, or 90 days, depending because of the rates. They don't want to have you committed to a higher rate if there's a chance they may drop in the next month. So having a pre-approval now lets us know your budget and what kind of a loan you're using. And I've shared with you some lenders so that you can have a conversation with them. One thing they are going to ask you is, what is the status of your savings? They're going to look right now at what you have saved. And right now, 3.5% to 5% might get the job done. If you don't have $6,000 in savings that they can verify, that is going to affect what your price point looks like, because they look at that money that you have saved as your down payment. If you've got $40,000 because you just got married and you've been saving and you really are ready to do this, let's get that pre-approval and talk about your options. If you only have $3,000, that may not be the down payment that's going to get you the house that you really want. And we need to know that also. So I do think that we need to have a really good conversation with a lender to get you started, because you're telling me you are needing to do this move quickly. So let's make sure that we are ready to go. Now, you're going to be working on this over here, and I'm going to be working over here on getting things ready for you. So tell me a little bit about the houses you're looking for, and I'm going to get all those details from them. Now, based on what they told me about their down payment, money at hand, I have a rough idea of what their price point might be. So that makes it a little bit easier for me to get a guideline. If they're looking in Cuyahoga Falls at a 3-bedroom home, I know that $200 to $300 is about where they're going to need to be for their budget. Now, I'm not a lender, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. I am knowledgeable because I need to be, but I do want you to have a really good conversation with the lender. So perhaps in the next week, you could be reaching out to these lenders to start having a conversation around pre-approval. And what I'm going to do, thank you so much for your email, I'm going to put you on a little smart plan. It's going to take a transaction and it's going to break it down into all of these steps And it's a quick read, and I'm just gonna email you a little step every day or two so that you have it in your mind, you have it in front of you, and you can refer to it. Now, I realize that people learn in all different kinds of ways. So I'm going to still be here to answer all phone calls and still talk you through all of this. But I do want to kind of show you what this looks like because you've never done this before. And I don't want any surprises to feel uncomfortable. Does that work for you? So I'm always checking back to make sure that I'm delivering what they need. Right now, today, I don't know that they're ready, willing, and able to buy. For me and my business, it does not feel like the best time to be like, "Hey, go ahead and sign this," because we don't really know if they're actually going to be able to buy this year or not. And this was our first meeting. This was their chance to get to know me. I've shown my value. I've talked them through it. I've asked a lot of questions so they feel very seen and recognized. And they have something to do, and I have something to do. So after that meeting, they're going to do their thing, and I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to go back. I'm going to set up that smart plan. I'm going to reach out to my lenders and say, hey, I just met with Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. I gave them your name and number. They may be reaching out to you. Let me know how I can help or how that goes. So you're staying on top of what they're doing and you're showing a value by supporting them. Now it's a week later. They've talked to some lenders. They've got their pre-approval. I've got all of my notes. I've been slowly looking around at things that kind of might be in their wheelhouse and in their price point. So we're going to get together. We're going to talk again. And they're going to update me on lending. And I'm going to talk to them about the things that I've been doing. Are you getting the smart plans? Do you have any questions so far? I know that we really didn't have our pre-approval in place, but I remember some of the things that you talked about, and I just kind of wanted to show you these two listings that might be an opportunity for you. All right. Now is when I start to talk about buyer representation. In this case, every case is different. For me, I want to have my fingers on the pulse so that I'm jumping in at the right time. So now we're having another meeting. I've brought things to the table. I've been supporting them, and now we're ready to go. And this is when I'm going to talk about our buyer representation agreement. I might have a blank copy in front of me so they can have it to look over. But I'm going to explain to them that my business is built on clear and candid conversations, and my brokerage requires this piece of paperwork. This is an agreement between you and I. It tells you what I'm going to do for you. It talks about how I'm going to get my compensation. So many people don't understand how a realtor actually gets paid. When I work with buyers, I am paid this commission for all of the work that I do, which includes getting you started, staying running right beside you the whole time, managing the transaction, introducing you to a title team that's well respected and does quality work. I'm going to be communicating because once you're under contract, I am kind of like the general contractor for your project. I'm going to be making sure title is doing all of their work. You don't even know what they're supposed to do. Luckily, I do. I'm going to make sure that lending is meeting all of their timelines. You probably didn't even think about that. Luckily, I do. I'm going to be communicating with the other agent. I'm going to be scheduling all of our inspections. I'm going to be negotiating post-inspection. These are all the things that I'm going to do for you. And let me tell you how I get paid. I'm very good at negotiating. Most of, if not all of, my commission is actually going to come from the seller. Now, don't get it wrong. Really, you're going to give them the money and it's going to pass through them for the purchase and come back to me in my commission. But this is what I get paid for what I do. And most, if not all of it, is going to come from that side. But here's another fun fact, because I am so good at negotiating, we are going to talk every single time. Because sometimes in this market, perhaps the commission, more of it comes from your side because you've got $40,000 of wedding money and you can afford to pay a little bit more of my commission, which means that your price with a lesser commission could potentially be lower. So that's a conversation too. Maybe you're putting it all into your loan because, $6 for every 1,000 isn't a hardship, and you want to keep as much available cash in your hand for the next steps. All right. Someone asked a singular. No, I do not recommend a singular lender, or I recommend 3. I have personal connections. I don't just say Cross Country Mortgage. I say Mimi at Cross Country Mortgage because she's on a different team than perhaps Jim. So I have at least 3 people that I'm always connecting. I definitely email all 3 of them, their name, and then it's got their company. So I do send that information. Sometimes clients don't live in email and they want to text, and that's fine also. So then I introduce them through text, and I always do that 3 times with 3 different agents. Otherwise, it looks like we're steering them some way. And it's very important that your client knows that we get no kickbacks. If we give you the name of Mimi the lender, I cannot take any money from Mimi the lender. I truly only refer them because I genuinely appreciate their professionalism. Sometimes they don't know that. They don't know that we don't get kickbacks and don't get paid. So let them make sure that they know that. Again, every single time you have these conversations, you're showing them your professionalism, your honesty, your candor, your knowledge. Getting them to sign that document becomes easier when you're having good conversations around it. Then, if they kick back, like no one's giving me any like disruptors, but so sometimes there's a, you know what, I'm just really not ready to sign this. I completely understand. It's a big decision. What can I tell you that I didn't fully explain before? Get to that question.
Yeah.
Answer that question. Now, let them know that every single time you have to schedule a showing, there is a box that you have to acknowledge saying that you have a buyer representation agreement. Have that in your phone. Show that to them. It's true. It's really the truth. They don't know that. Educate them. You only have to do this one time. Once you've educated them, they're going to appreciate so much all of your knowledge that they are going to not only want to do business with you, they're going to refer you to other people because they're like, oh my God, Keleigh answered every single question, even the ones I didn't even know to ask at the time. And so then once that is signed, you're ready to go. Now, again, asking them to sign a document a year in advance, to me, is counterintuitive. It sounds like a placeholder for something, and I could see why some people would want to do that. But if they're really not going to be doing anything in a year, then I'm going to have follow-up reminders, calls, and I'm going to be sending them helpful things. I'm going to be sharing information. I'm going to be letting them know what the market looks like every quarter. So I'm going to be showing my value and getting them to sign it then. And I know,
Awesome.
okay, and I know that that might feel weird for some people because we're like, oh my God, I got to get it signed. but you have to get it signed to work with them.
Right. And yeah, all of the value that showed it, they'll say, "Oh well, I'm in good hands." You know, that will lower their guard, their objections. You know, you will put them at ease.
Yes. Have
Yes.
patience.
You showed
You
your
know,
value,
go
and
ahead.
I
I'm
was
sorry.
gonna say, so you got the pre-approval
Yep.
before you gave them lenders to get pre-approval before they signed the buyer agreement,
Yep.
and
Usually I
yeah,
do.
and that would make them more inclined to want to work with you, as I would think. You know.
Exactly. Like I gave them a little taste. I gave them a little taste, but again, because honestly, could every agent send 3 numbers? Yes, everyone does. But at the same time, my delivery of this information and how I choose to ask for a signing is why I get signatures. I've only ever had one person, and just so we're all on the same page, I have always done buyer representation agreements. So when the settlement came down and the judgment came down, they had me go to the brokerage and train on it because I was one of the agents that was a newer agent, but still had been doing this. So I wasn't worried about having that conversation because I'd already been doing it. And I did have one young couple that had a auntie that was a realtor that told them not to sign anything. And I'm thinking to myself, well, why is your auntie not representing you then? Why are we having a meeting and a buyer consultation at a local coffee shop if auntie is an agent and telling you not to sign paperwork? And I told them I would be more than willing to go to an open house with them and show my value as not only an agent, but a very knowledgeable. I used to be in property management. I know a whole bunch about houses. So let's go to an open house because you don't have to have representation. Let's go together to this open house. I kind of want to see this house too. Let's go see what it would look like to go on a showing with me. You don't have to sign the paperwork. And I did that. And I was well within my rights to do that. It made perfect sense. Afterward, I asked them if they felt comfortable signing a buyer agreement, and they still said, no, our auntie said not to do that. And I said, that is completely understandable. It sounds as if your auntie is already acting as your agent in some areas, and I wish you well. I really hope everything goes great. If things change, I'm here. And you know what? You're moving to the area. I hope to see you downtown at some Main Street Ken events. And I was okay with that because if their auntie is telling them not to do work and she's a professional, their uncle probably thinks he's a home inspector. Their dad, who used to be an insurance agent, probably thinks he's a lender. And that sounds like a really messy thing.
Yeah, they're
I'm,
all trying to throw a monkey wrench in your business.
yeah. And again, I knew, and this was right, I knew this was right after the settlement had gone into place. This was like August 18th when the world changed. And his auntie is telling them to still not sign anything when it now became law. That made me nervous too. So when you think about it, they might have purchased at 250. I might have gotten 7,500 for that transaction. Maybe.
Awesome. And that goes to the beginning when you said some people you might not want to work with, or it might not be the right time.
Right. Now, fun fact, those people did find me at a Main Street Ken event, and they still haven't bought anything because this very helpful auntie never talked to them about whether they were ready for a pre-approval, and they were not.
And you were involved in the community, seeing them at you said a Ken event?
Yeah, at a Ken event. So,
Awesome.
very purposeful in my conversations. And an entrepreneur would have been like playing it fast and loose. You know what? I'm not fine. I'll give you a freebie. I'll give you a free taste. I did a free taste in a way that felt comfortable for me and purposeful at an open house. So I wasn't bending my professionalism, but I was able to still show my value. So was that helpful?
Very much so.
Yes, it
Thanks a
was.
lot.
Okay.
So you record these, right? Is there somewhere you post them?
So they
Or do you just
record
keep
them,
them?
and I believe that they go to Agent 297 because we do record these, not to be confused with the horribleness of my recording our last open house when we were all in the office. But yes, so the brokerage takes these and they put them, I believe, on Agent 297. But I am always here to like answer questions, role play, talk stuff through. I'm working, for those of you that were with me last week, I am working on trying to record our in-person meetups also, just to build an arsenal. Because I understand that sometimes you need to circle back and ask a question or look at a video again. And I also know that sometimes it's really, really, really hard to get to where you need to get to. But I want to let you guys all get back to your day. I'm sorry that we're a couple of minutes over. Please, this week, work on being purposeful. Be very intentional. Think about what is the most powerful thing I can do this morning, this afternoon, or this evening that is going to maximize. It might be a social event where you hand out business cards in the community. It might be researching smart plans as a way to reach out to 20 people in your database instead of one at a time. It might be purposeful for you, might mean that you get an accountability partner and you guys have a 5-minute phone conversation where one of you is the agent and one of you is the buyer, and you're starting to practice and role play through conversations. So everyone pick something very purposeful to focus on and text me next week and let me know how it went. Can we do that?
Yep.
All right.
So,
Sounds
Okay.
good.
All right, everyone. Have a great day. Get out there.
Thanks. Have a good one.
All righty. Bye,
I
everyone.
Bye.
Keleigh, I had a question. Am I able to email you about that?
Yes, you can email me.
Okay, cool.
Email me or text me. That would be fine.
All right, cool.
All
Thank
right.
yeah, I'll just email you. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.